The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
Welcome to another segment of the UCW Radio Show. This is your host, Lou, a.k.a. Falcon Coparis. And I want to thank all of our listeners for your continued support. Without you, we wouldn't have a show, so we do appreciate you tuning in, listening to the stories, the amazing stories of the journeys of our guests. We have some great guests coming on, some fantastic guests coming down the road. Just stay tuned because we're continuing to add more content to the show and really making this full-blown entertainment for our listeners. Now, in just a little while, we're going to have a special guest on the show, someone that I hold in the highest regards. She is a gold medal winning martial artist. She's an action film star. She's also a mommy. And she is a true survivor, coming to America with nothing more than the vision of freedom and a few bucks in her pocket. She's none other than Stephanie Cheeva McNeal. And if her story, and I'm saying this, if her story does not inspire you to reach for your dreams, then nothing will, especially in the United States. If what you hear from her doesn't inspire you to get up and go reach for the gold and make things happen for yourself, nothing will. I am convinced of that. But before we bring her on the show, I need to go over a couple things. Ultimate Body Radio. We are the official. We're hosting for the Ultimate Body reality show. We're doing the Ultimate Body Radio, and the Ultimate Body reality show is the first of its kind. It's a bodybuilding reality show, and honestly, you look at The Biggest Loser, and then you look at, that does some good stuff, by the way. It does help people to change their lifestyle, and you look at other reality shows out there, like Big Brother and all this other stuff, and all these things that you see on VH1 and MTV and so on and so forth. This is the first reality show of its kind, and it's actually enhancing the lives of the people that are involved. You are competing to be crowned the next Ultimate Body, actually the Ultimate Body. So it's a really interesting concept. You will get into the best shape of your life, and that's what these contestants are doing. Now, this is brought to you from the mind of David Lyons. He's an inspirational guy, fantastic producer. He produced Hog Heaven, the biker series, the animated feature Creepers, and he's smart. What he did, he brought in a reality show expert, for all intents and purposes, in Lauren Alvarez. Now, you may not know the name, but you know the shows. The Osbournes, to Real Life, and really, I don't need to go any further. Those you should know. Now, the premise of the show, you have 13 men, 13 women. They live in a mansion. Free food, vitamins, training, doctors, chiropractors, all this stuff. And you have, the best trainers in the country are going to be there. And they're all competing, as I said earlier, to be crowned the Ultimate Body. They're also, for those that win, they're also competing for $50,000. A spread in muscle mag. And the thing is, when you're involved in bodybuilding, you really don't make any money. You lose money. It's a losing proposition as you're competing and everything because it costs you so much. Food, vitamins, training, and if you need a trainer, a strength trainer or someone of that nature, is going to cost you a lot of money. So, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a lot of people. And you have some guest judges, which are fantastic. You have IFBB Bodybuilding Hall of Famer Rich Gaspari. Marcia Prince, she's an IFBB Bikini Pro. She's a dynamite chick, and her story is inspirational. You have Natural Mr. Universe Doug Burns, again another inspirational guy, and you have the host of the whole thing. He's also the voice of the Mr. Olympia, Bob Cicciarello. Now here goes the bad news. That's all the good stuff, but you have some bad news because the final audition to get on the show is on October 17th, 2009 in Kissimmee, Florida. This is the last chance that you can try to get on the show. And the auditions are from 11 to 6. And you can get the application, which I do advise you to download it beforehand. Before you go there, just don't show up there with your application, your pictures, and say, okay, I'm here, because you may say you're here, and you may be 2 blocks down the road in a long line. So try to avoid that. Now, the website is theultimatebodytvshow.com. So find out more, download the application, and be a part of history, of reality show history. And also, celebrity boxing. We're doing something with celebrity boxing. You have Chris Gambino, Stephen Baldwin. They actually brought together an event that's going to be happening on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2010, to benefit the U.S. troops. And this is going through the Stephen Baldwin's Now More Than Ever Fund. And he's doing some great things to try to support the troops. He went on a trip to see our troops, and it changed his whole view of things. And now he's trying to do great things for the troops, and that's fantastic. Now, the event, you're going to have Chris Gambino versus Stephen Baldwin. Roy Jones Jr. just joined it. And you're going to have a whole list of others that are going to be involved in this fantastic event. And it's taking place in Sunrise, Florida at the over 8,000-seat Bank Atlantic Center. You don't want to miss this event. This is one of those events that you have to be a part of. You go to mycelebrityboxing.com, get additional information, and guess what? We're going to be doing the radio show. So again, something we'll continue to give you updates on new editions and exactly what's going on, but this is something you definitely want to be involved with. Now, I also need to let out that we did open the doors for sponsorship opportunities. Advertisers, marketers that want to align with the UCW radio show can do so by calling us at 323-952-4369. That's 323-952-4369, or go to our website, ucwmagazine.com, and find out how you can get involved. And if you're on Twitter, you can shoot me out your questions or comments for some of our guests that you just go to our website, you'll see who's going to be on the show. You can shoot us out those comments, questions, and we'll try to pose them to our guests while we have them on the show. Just make the comments, or the questions interesting, and the comments as well. My Twitter name is Louis Velazquez. That's LouisVelazquez. So follow me and tweet away. Now, without further ado, let's patch in again. She's a martial artist, action film star, but above all, her story. And I know her story, but she, in her own words, she's going to tell her story. And it's the story of living the American dream, of inspiration, going from nothing, not even able to speak English, and building up to where she is now. But anyway, she is on hold, so we're going to bring her on the show. And here is Stephanie Cheeva McNeal. Stephanie, it's great to have you on the UCW radio show. I really want to thank you for being with us on the show this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure to have you here, no doubt about it. And I say this every show, that we do appreciate the time our guests put aside for us, and that is true because people have their lives going on, especially you. You have some projects that you're working on. You've been busy. I know this is you've been trying to come on the show for the past few weeks, but it's hard to do with all the projects you have going on. I just want to give our listeners I guess a broad stroke overview of who you are. You know, you are a martial artist. You are an action movie star, movie actress. You are a producer. So
yes.
and
a mom.
Yeah, I was going to say, on top of all that, you are a mommy. You know, and you're married to a great guy. You know, he's a picture taker. You know, but actually he's a professional. And so you have a lot of things going on, but you're also right now, you took a little hiatus from the Hollywood scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before,
I had to.
yeah, I know you had to, but before we get into what you have going on now, I like to start at the beginning because I want our listeners to understand your journey so that they can really get a feel for what you've been through. Now, years ago, you got involved in martial arts. That's where we're going to start with, the martial arts. How did all that happen?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I know. I'm making you think.
Yes. Well, I was 9 years old, and I was really inspired to
to do good and contribute to the world, even at that young age. I just wanted to be very strong so I can bring justice to the world. Growing up in communist Bulgaria, I witnessed some things that disturbed me, and I really wanted to be able to defend myself and those who are weaker and are being treated badly. And so that's what I set out to do in my head. I was like, okay, I'm going to become this ultimate fighting machine, and no one would be able to stop me. And of course, that was a hard journey because back then in Bulgaria, you were not allowed to take any form of martial arts unless you belonged to the military or the police.
Oh, wow.
And we had an underground. I started with a book that somebody sneaked illegally into the country.
Okay.
And it was called karate, and I just kind of started learning on my own. And then with North Koreans coming into Bulgaria, North Korea was communist too at the time, and so they were allowed to come and study at the sports academy in Bulgaria, and they kind of started this whole movement with Taekwondo. And so I joined training with them. Kim Ung Cho was actually the one who brought Taekwondo into Bulgaria. And then at 13, I was a part of the national team. I became a national champion.
For Bulgaria.
For Bulgaria, yes.
Okay.
That's right. I was born and raised there, and obviously that's where I started my sports career. And from then on, I went on to international championships, and I won 21 gold medals, 2 silver, and 1 bronze. And
wow.
That's pretty much how my journey started.
Yeah, that's how it all started over there, and I wanted our listeners to hear that from you, and not just from me, because then it'd be boring just hearing everything from me. So, but to hear from you, because I think your journey is amazing. You went through that in Bulgaria, where if you would have been caught trying to train or something like that, it probably would have been a big problem.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. It was underground. Judo was actually the only sport that was allowed because it was an Olympic sport, but women were not allowed to participate. So I was the only girl with a bunch of guys, and I remember I sat at their training. They actually practiced karate after the judo workouts, but that was all on the ground. And I told the instructor, I know that you do karate here as well, and I'm not going to leave, and I'm going to come here every day, and I'm not going to leave until you let me join and until you teach me.
Right.
And so after 2 weeks of me going there every single day and sitting, and they just couldn't get rid of me, and so they were like, okay, why don't you just come on in? But you're sworn to not tell anybody. And that went on for almost a year. Wow. Before Taekwondo eventually made itself.
So you had to do everything on the ground and do that. And you had to actually fight or be persistent just to get to be trained.
Yeah. That made it more valuable, though. I think that when you are given so many opportunities, it's easier to take them for granted, and that really made me very determined to succeed and become the best that I could become later.
No, without a doubt. Things like that. If things are brought to you too easily, people take it for granted. But when you have to fight for something, you hold it in a high regard. I believe that.
Absolutely, I think so.
It
worked for me that way anyway.
Yeah, so you win. You won all these gold medals, and you became a superstar. And Taekwondo, you became a superstar in martial arts. And when did you leave? When did you get into acting and doing that? Were you doing modeling as well?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the superstar comment. I don't feel like I was, but I really strive to become the best that I could, and thank you for that. But when I started winning all the gold medals and things like that, I got some attention from the press in Bulgaria. Eventually, when Taekwondo became an Olympic sport, in Bulgaria prides itself in the good athletes that are produced. And actually later on there was a government program that athletes are there just to train and that they get paid. And again, if you bring gold medals, then you get paid, and you have an opportunity to train even more, and it's a full-time job. So that is eventually what it became to me. It was no longer illegal. I was actually making really good money. I was 16 and I was making more money in Bulgaria than my father, who's a professor.
Right.
And he created robots,
Right, yeah, he's a scientist.
He's a scientist, yes, and I actually drove a better car than him, and in Bulgaria you rarely have a car.
Right.
But at that time anyway. And but I had a lot of recognition from the press, and eventually I was approached by different companies about modeling and doing little TV shows over there. And I think ultimately that's how my attention turned into the media. And but I always thought of myself, okay, well maybe if I ever go abroad, then maybe I would just stick with action martial arts movies, and that's my niche, and that's what I'll do.
Right.
But eventually when I came to the States and I made my first film, I kind of fell in love with the acting part of it. And I went to school for 2 years. I graduated from Joanne Barron and D.W. Brown.
Okay.
And if anybody's listening and they have been through the program, they know it's like going to the army for 2 years.
Serious stuff.
It was great. I could relate to it. This is my learning style anyway, so it was great.
Yeah, it's like this is a breeze.
Yeah.
I live this way.
Yep, I really liked it that way, and so that's kind of how it started.
But you studied acting. You made it a point to learn your craft because you wanted to learn more about becoming or actually honing your skills as an actress. But now you went from there. So now you're a multi-gold medalist from Bulgaria. You come to the United States. Well, when did you come to the United States? That's what I didn't ask you.
Yeah, that's another story that's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, well, you're gonna tell us this bizarre story because that's what we love. No, but we need to. I want our listeners to really understand your journey because I know the story, they don't. So you're gonna tell them, what it is, what it took for you, how it worked out that you left Bulgaria, where you could actually stood there and you could have led a comfortable life for a long time.
Well, yes and no. In a way, things were changing in Bulgaria. Communism fell through. There was another government, which wasn't that different. It was just a different kind of control. Later on, what happened in Bulgaria is that there was all these mafia groups, and one was based in martial arts, and another one was the wrestlers group, and they were all tied into the government. And pretty much, I think what happened in America in the was it the 30s or the 60s? I'm kind of confused, but all these mafia wars, it was kind of like living in a movie. Well, it was real and it was scary.
Well, that was in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. Yeah, throughout American history, actually.
Right, but when it really started in, I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah, in the 20s, you had a lot of stuff going on, from the days of Al Capone and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, that's kind of what Bulgaria became. It was like those early stages where Bulgaria's territory was divided by these different groups and controlled. They controlled businesses, they controlled politics, they controlled pretty much the money. And my coach was a big part of it, and now he is in politics, and he's a brilliant man, and I love him, but he, I guess it was a time where he felt like he needed to either take his spy or everybody else was gonna take it away. And I'm not so sure of the reasons, but I definitely didn't want to be a part of it.
Right.
And pretty much everybody who was a part of martial arts and was significant was expected to be involved to a certain capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And
but
you
would have no choice. But you would have no choice but to be involved.
Yeah, it was, well, I mean, they would make it seem that way, that if you were in Bulgaria, you had no choice but to be involved, and that influenced my choice to actually come to the States.
Okay.
Because I definitely didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't agree. There was a lot of trafficking of persons from Russia going on, and the funny part is that all these groups believed that they were doing good, and
right.
and the reason why it became kind of an establishment of athletes is because all of a sudden, when the communist government failed, nobody got paid for training or bringing medals to Bulgaria. That was gone. So now you have all these great athletes, martial artists, wrestlers, boxers, and they don't have an income anymore like they used to.
Right.
And they don't have an outlet, and they realize they have some influence and power, and so they just started doing crazy things.
Yeah, they started going on that road. But then sometimes, if you're put in a corner, you have to make a decision on what you're going to do. Is either you're going to do nothing and walk away, or even go down that. I mean, I wouldn't go that route, but for them, they felt the need to do it, I guess.
It was basically a country with kind of a hierarchy in the country, and people saw opportunity to be in power, and they took it. I mean, it's happened throughout human history.
Yeah.
I guess there were entrepreneurs in a sense, but choosing really what I would consider not a right way of doing things. And so basically that propelled me towards coming to the States, and I came here when I was 20. And in Bulgaria, you're of age when you're 18, so I didn't even realize that I would be kind of completely illegal here since I wasn't even of legal age.
Did you know did you know anyone in the United States at the time?
I had one person here. He actually he was a part of the national team, and he came here to visit his cousin who worked for the Bulgarian embassy here.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to visit, and he was supposed to go back to Bulgaria, but what happened in the meanwhile is that the Bulgarian national team was invited to come and compete in the States, in New York, actually, upstate New York, Poconos, I believe it was the area. And so we had no problem getting visas and going on the plane. And a funny story, but I had a dog since I was 6, and I brought her with me on the plane, and it was just, it was kind of making a point that I probably don't intend to go back to Bulgaria.
Taking my dog with me.
It was really weird that I would bring my dog with me. But anyway, so that's how we got here.
Okay.
And then after the championship was over and the Bulgarian team was triumphant, actually. We had a bunch of gold medals and stuff, and then we decided to stay, but we had no idea where we were going to stay. It was winter. Winter was coming in New York, and as you know, it's
cold.
Tough.
It gets cold.
It gets cold, and I had all the money I had was I came here with less than $2,000. I don't remember the exact amount, but I remember it was less than, it was between I think it was about $1,600. That's all I had.
But that's all you had, but you had no job, you had no way of earning a living.
Exactly. And no, very little English.
Right.
I knew basic words, and maybe I can put a sentence together, but it was very broken, and
Wow.
it took effort to understand what I was trying to say.
Right,
And also, I couldn't even get a job because I was illegal. I had a temporary visa, which didn't allow me to work. And we had a guy named John whose son was was young in the time and was inspiring to compete in like the kids division at the World Championship. And he was actually really good, but John saw how he liked our technique and everything, and he kind of took us into his under his wing in a way. He let us stay at his house for about 2 weeks. Helped us get an apartment. It was this basement in Queens. It was roaches, toilets.
Oh, you probably lived in. It was probably Jackson Heights.
There was, I now forget the exact area, but it was actually an Italian neighborhood.
Okay.
Which was really really cool. We like, I think Italian folks are very cool, but it was tough. Basically, it was very cold. We had nothing. We had no bed. Really, like our clothes, pretty much, and that was it. And
but how did you
so
earn?
it was a rough beginning.
Yeah, no doubt. But how did you earn a living while you were doing that? While you were there?
Well, I connected with this top model, and she let me clean her house.
Okay.
Later on, somebody else. We actually joined the martial art school, and they wanted us to teach, and they kind of had a fitness center too, so it was a job that included teaching martial arts, then doing personal training, and all these things. And eventually, I also got a job in McDonald's because none of these things were enough to pay the rent.
Right.
And to earn, because they, I think people were really nice to us, in helping us, but they also realized that we're illegal. They took a risk and they paid us under the table. And I'm really ashamed to say that, because now that I understand the law and how this country operates, I don't think that was the right way to do it.
Right.
But, again, I was 20. I felt like, I didn't even know how. It wasn't a well thought plan. It was just a very impulsive adventure that I took. And then people were paying us very little. Like,
well,
we
of
would
course,
make...
they're gonna take advantage of you because they know you're illegal. I mean, I'm saying it. You don't need to, but people, they see situations like that, and they'll go and they'll say, here goes $30. Go clean my whole house. Okay.
Exactly. I can remember a time even later on when I moved to LA where I was working at a cafe on 3rd Street Promenade, and I earned $2.50 an hour.
I believe it.
That was my, and it was tough. And, working at McDonald's with no English, and they put me at the register because they said, oh, you're cute, you go to the register. I'm like, I don't understand this. So it was really hard. I remember the specific case that somebody asked for a napkin, and I, for the world of me, didn't understand what they needed, and I gave them everything else. Like, I would pick something and try to see if that was what they wanted, and it wasn't. And the guy was like, "Are you on drugs or something?" Right.
But,
that was.
And they probably started yelling at you, and you had to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah. And I can see why the customer would lose their patience, but it really wasn't my place to be in the front, and I really didn't know what a napkin was. But I learned from that day on. I was like, okay, that's a napkin.
But you learned. But see, you came, and I'm just going to say this. I mean, this is amazing. You came, you were in Bulgaria, where you could have went home, stood with your family, lived that type of life, and again, you could have earned a living, but you wouldn't be struggling the way you did when you came here. But you came here in pursuit of the American dream.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a big part of it. But to be honest, I didn't believe that there was opportunities for me in Bulgaria, and I would have been dragged into all the mafia wars. I already was in a way, and I wasn't comfortable with that, and I knew I had to make a different choice, and I knew that I had to create a different opportunity for myself. And coming to the States just happened to be what naturally kind of flowed, and I did it, and I'm definitely happy that I went through it.
You definitely did.
If I knew what I was going to go through it right now and I had to make that choice, I probably wouldn't have left Bulgaria.
Right, yeah. But you know something? You know, you saying this, and this is, I want our listeners to hear this, you know, those that are here in the United States. And you don't take for granted what you have in front of you, because there are people that don't have this in other countries. You know, this is the only place that you can go and you can work at McDonald's and not speak a lick of English, and then wind up becoming an actress and doing movies and producing and doing all the stuff that you're doing. It's an amazing journey. It's an amazing journey. This right here is exactly what this country's about.
Yes, and this was why I wanted to come to the States, because I knew that no other country in the world has the same opportunity. You know, I think the United States is definitely not a country where you can kind of be lazy about things. You have to be committed and really go after your dream, but then you at least have a chance to accomplish it.
Yeah.
As opposed to other places in the world. And
but you have to work for it. But you have to work for it, and you did do that. You worked hard for it.
Yes, I sure did.
You know. So, but when you were in Queens, and then you branched out, and how did you get to L.A.?
You know, we decided that the movie industry is in L.A. It's definitely a warmer weather, which I always felt that, you know, growing up in Bulgaria, I was frozen enough. So I didn't need New York to freeze me some more. I was like, okay, if we become homeless there, we'll be somewhere warm.
Yeah.
So it's not as scary. So we came here not knowing a single person, and I had my dog again. And, you know, it's hard to get a cheap motel with a dog.
Oh yeah, as you're traveling, no, there's no doubt. You have maybe, I think the Days Inn is what allows the dogs. They have a thing with the dogs, but most hotels, no, you can't.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, I didn't even know where to go from the airport. The taxi driver was like, "Okay, where to?" And I said, "I don't know. The cheapest motel you can get me to." And then the cheapest one didn't want to take the dogs, but yet they had, like, you know, stains on their sheets and whatnot. I'm like, you know, it's not right. My dog is cleaner than your sheets.
Yeah.
It was just a really stinky motel. But
so you end up in a place in a ratty hotel again, back like the same situation that you were in, but now you're in L.A. and now it's just you and your team, and you guys are. You have your little dog, and you're still in the same position. You're in a nasty hotel room with, you know, probably bugs and all that stuff. So you're there now. You know, now what do you do from there? What did you do?
Well, it was actually by that time my teammates have all gone home. We had two of them that stayed, but they eventually just wanted to go back, and it was me and another martial arts film star now, Anton Kasabov. But we were both a part of the national team, and we were the only two that stayed, and came to LA together. But this is really, I know I can go into details, but we couldn't stay at this hotel eventually because we ran out of money, and we had our suitcase in the shopping cart and on the street this one day, and we just were deciding what to do next. And I met this really odd kind kind of like the mad scientist, older man.
Mm-hmm.
He was, at the time, I think he was 75.
Okay.
He's still alive and well today.
Oh, good for
And
him.
he was, his car had gotten out of gas and was kind of also smoky. I think his motor had burned or something, his head gasket or something like that.
Okay.
And he saw my dog and we started talking, and then eventually he said, "Oh, well, I have a house here, and you guys are welcome to come, and you don't have to pay me a deposit or anything, just pay monthly." And we had just enough money to pay, like we had $200, and that's what he wanted for a single room, and the house was very broken up, full of junk, and he was a scientist and a poet. He was actually a significant scientist who patented a bunch of things, but his life story is amazing too. But basically he took us under his roof and gave us the opportunity to only have to worry about earning $200 a month to pay for the rent, and that was 1996.
Okay.
In 1996. So from there, each one of us was trying to get odd jobs like, waitressing or painting houses or anything, like day laborers basically.
Right.
But then we had this idea. I always wanted to. I was in awe of Master Cho.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
of course I am.
Oh, okay. Well, he also. So we went. We took the bus to Pico and Overland, and that's where his school was, and we just went to watch and to just see him in person. We were so fascinated by him.
Right.
And then eventually he invited us, knowing our story, he invited us into his class, and after we participated once, he invited us to teach for him, both me and Anton, and so we started teaching for him. And then eventually we applied for a green card. We spent all our money to with this one lawyer, and he ended up just cheating us and closing his office, and we could never find him again.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, that was just an added
added stress.
Another obstacle.
Yeah, but I'll say someone like that, and I'm going to say this, someone like that's an attorney that takes advantage of people that are trying to, legally be here. That's a piece of garbage. I just need to say that because that bothers me, because you have limited money, and there are a lot of people out there that want to be here legally, and they pay an attorney to do something that's to help them. I think it's horrible that someone did that. I hope that he's not an attorney any longer.
Well, yeah, I hope so too, because right, it's when it's discouraging, when you're really trying to do the right thing and get legal and get going, and we felt like we had something to offer, and we were hard workers, and and it was just so discouraging to do that, and to go through that, and then I remember like working literally 23 hours a day, and for like 3 weeks to save up another like $1,000 for a car, and a Bulgarian person actually sold me the car, and then he died 3 days later.
Wow.
It was just like all these things, and we're like, okay, what are we doing? How would we ever make it? And then the good thing though is that Master Cho really took us under his wings with allowing us to teach classes, and then we contacted another good attorney, Penina Graff, and we got our green cards very easily once we connected with the right lawyer, and Master Cho wrote a letter, and like I remember having to translate like all the newspapers from Bulgaria, all the TV shows, like everything that we've done, and showing our medals and whatnot, and then we got green cards for special abilities, and it seemed really easy, but another thing that happened is that right at that time that we're about to get green cards, the law changed in America, and anyone who wasn't approved yet had to go back home to wait for the green card there.
Wow.
And so I remember for myself, I had a choice to make. The deadline was in 2 days, and I either had to go home and wait there, but then the Bulgarian government would probably, even if I had a green card, they wouldn't let me leave the country.
Right.
Or there was this person who actually offered to marry me, but it was the arranged marriage just so I can stay.
Right.
And funny enough, I believe in God, and I believe that He had a great plan. He still has a great plan. But, I happened to open the Bible, and there was a passage there that said that marriage is holy and how God views marriage. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do that.
Right.
I can't just marry somebody. And I remember being on my knees, praying and crying, and finally I was in peace, and I was like, okay, you know what, God, I'm going to do your will, and I'm going to go back, and we'll see what happens. And then I heard right at that moment, there was a knock on the door, and my papers came, and I had a green card.
Wow. You see
I know,
that?
it's pretty amazing.
That is an amazing story. So, I mean, that's, see, you know what, and this right here is why this country's so great. You went through all that struggle and everything because you knew what you wanted, and now you go from that struggle, and you're still struggling. I mean, you're teaching at Master Cho's place in Pico. You're doing all that stuff, you journey into Hollywood.
Yes.
So I mean, that's why I wanted to have your whole story told here, because it's an amazing thing. And before we get into your projects and everything, I want to finish this journey because it's amazing to me. So you went there, you got your papers. Now, when did you venture into the Hollywood scene?
Well, it kind of happened by coincidence, really, because Anton actually saw a newspaper ad, and it said, we're doing this low-budget martial arts film, and auditions are going to be held at this place. Come if you know martial arts. So we went, and we ended up being casted as well. I ended up actually making it into the film. And that was my very first role. I had no former training and, no acting experience. I had a very small role. It was mostly action. I had just a couple of lines and things like that. And I'm actually trying to remember what the movie was called. I remember in a second. But then I got to meet some people there. I met TJ Storm.
Stormy. Yes.
Yes.
The man that finally called me, but then.
Okay.
But we're still trying to link up. He's just a busy guy. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so it was like, this was my introduction into the movie business. I was told by the director that they actually wanted to kind of expand my role because they said that I had a natural talent, and I was flattered. And Storm told me about the acting school I should go to and all that. But really, this was, of course, independent, non-union, low-budget film, but how I got into SAG and the union was, again, like really a coincidence, because while I was teaching at Master Cho, somebody who also was a student there was a stuntman, and he happened to just overhear a conversation that they needed for this CBS show. It was called Martial Law, and it was Sammo Hung.
Okay.
I don't remember. I think it was 98. And it ran for a while, but basically they needed a girl who can kick really high. And I could do that, and then I got
that you can.
Yes, that I can. And so, and I remember I went to an audition. It was Mary Tianka. Mary Tianka was the stunt coordinator, and Tsuyoshi, one of the stunt guys were there, and they auditioned me, and they said, okay, well, can you do a front kick? And I jumped, like I did a jumping spinning front kick because I thought I would impress them better, and they're like, okay, she can do it, so go to wardrobe. And that was my start. Go to wardrobe. Cool. And I couldn't believe it. I got kind of task-hardly into the union.
But then, an opportunity came up because it was your time. You have to sometimes, and I had this conversation with someone earlier today, that sometimes you have to go through the rough times and go and have the bumps in the road to really appreciate what you end up with. And in your case, you went through really rough times, really rough times. It would have been easy for you to go back home, but you stood the course and you stood fighting for what you wanted and reaching for that gold ring. Not the brass ring, but the gold ring. You were reaching out for it, and you didn't let anything stand in your way, even though you faced the possibility of never being able to come back here.
Yeah, I think that's what I learned through martial arts is aim at the highest, like almost the unobtainable thing. Because I think my goal was really crazy when you think about it. I wanted to become the best martial artist there ever was on the planet. It was like, okay, well, if you reach for that, then maybe you just reach the highest you can become. And if you reach for a ridiculous goal like that, I remember also when I became an actress, my goal was to win an Oscar. And again, I was very young, and I reached for that goal, and I think I became a pretty decent actress.
Yeah, maybe you do. You know what? You're
I think that my goals are changed now because I'm more mature, and I it's not that I'm backing off or whatever, but I have a different perspective now, and I think as long as you do your best, then you're doing good.
Right. Well, look, you went through a lot of stuff, and you've taken a journey that most people would have given up, maybe it's 1 or 2 years into it, but you stood with it. And you became a stunt person. You went and you were doing, you went to acting school, and you went to an intense thing for a couple of years doing that. And now, we're at the point that now you've made some movies, you've done stuff, and now you're in a position that, it's incredible, but you're in a position now that now you're making more movies. And you're not only in the action part of it, you're not only in the acting part of it, but you're also producing right. Films. Now, who would have thought in '96 that you would be doing that today?
Yeah, not me, for sure. I wouldn't have thought.
Right, and you got as we talked about earlier, you're a mommy, you have beautiful children, you got a good husband by your side, so yeah, you're living the American dream in a lot of different ways.
Yes, I'm very grateful. Every day I wake up and I just thank God because I really I feel blessed and fortunate, and I've been surrounded by good people. On this journey, and somehow, again, God made a way when I didn't see a way. There still was a way.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm mostly grateful for my kids and my husband, and just everything else is an added benefit. And I'm like, every morning when I wake up, I'm like, I hope this is not going to end soon, because there's a part of me that is almost not comfortable being comfortable. I've always been through struggles, and that kind of has become my way of living.
Right.
So to be just comfortable is just feeling odd.
Yeah, because now you can actually relax a little bit, and you don't know what it is to do that.
I think it's the first time I'm actually doing things out of being inspired and out of fear. I'm not, I'm not desperate for anything really. I'm not in a position that I'm asking for anything. I am pretty much doing things because I either believe in them or I'm inspired to do them. I love to do them, that kind of thing.
Well, you know what? You're fortunate, and again, I commend you on your journey, because your journey has been an amazing one. And you and I know each other for some time. And it's amazing. It's like, I know certain things that happen, but now having you on the show and going through it from beginning to end is like, wow, and this is a wow factor. And again, yeah, this is real. This is not a dream. This is real. So for you, and your life is just going to get better and better. And the beauty of it is that this is going to trickle down to your children, because they're going to know your story. And they're going to know, yeah, we're going to keep fighting for all the things that we want in this world, because the world is ours. To be anything we want to be without stopping. But of course, it's not a hope they're going to be like that, because you went through it. So they have to learn, and they see it, and kids learn from it, through example, not words but actions.
They do. You're absolutely right. Actually, yeah, I agree with you. I think that it would be a part of them.
Yeah.
Because what you are, your kids definitely get, and then they add extra of their own personality and their own experience. But I definitely think that whatever the parents are, the kids definitely absorb that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Good or bad.
Yeah, exactly, without a doubt. And that's what happens. So now it brings us to this point that now you're working on some new projects. And let's talk about those projects, because I want our listeners to really understand that you went through all this struggle, and now you're producing movies. Go figure. Go figure. That's fantastic. So let's talk about your projects. You have one called Quickfire. Why don't you give us the rundown on that?
Current one.
Yeah. That's the most current one?
That's the one that is actually happening, and it's in production right now.
Okay, let's leave Quickfire for a second. Let's talk about Black Cobra, because that's a little further down the road.
Yeah, Black Cobra came about as under the working title on IMDb. You can look it up, but it's called When the Cobra Strikes. That was based on a novel that Sabati Mafate wrote, and he saw me at I think it was Dragon Fest. I don't know if you remember Dragon Fest.
With Gerald Akamura, right?
Akamura, yes. And
wow, that's a while ago. That's a while ago.
It was a while ago, yes. Sabati was trying to. It was like an action adventure story that was based in South Africa, LA, and Tokyo. Mm-hmm. And so, things again came together. I had just had my son when Sabati approached me with this novel and said, "Hey, I want you to play this part in it." It was called Shihan Chris, and there was this role for me, and he almost made the movie, but then ended up losing funding. And then I had a very good friend of mine that we were best friends, and we were roommates even, and she's an actress herself, but then she was able to get us funding and became a producer as well.
Nice.
And this movie just kind of took off on its own and happened, and I think it's a very entertaining international story with great value to it and great action. We had great people working just because they were good friends or they believed in the project. Mm-hmm. And now the project has made it all the way to Sony.
Oh, and nice.
We can't believe that because it started as a joke, literally. I never knew that, I just had my son, and he actually was with me on set the whole time, producing with me.
Right.
It was just a ridiculous way of doing a movie, but again, somehow it worked out, and now we have, Kami Asgar's team who They were nominated for an Oscar for sound for Apocalypto, Passion of the Christ. They're doing all the big movies like Zombieland and Quarantine and like a bunch of them.
Right.
And so they're actually finishing the post-production for us.
Nice.
And then the Sony acquisition department has expressed interest to buy it.
Look at that.
And that's not a small thing for a first-time producer.
No, that's
It was first-time producer, first-time director, you know.
I think that's amazing. Congratulations on that, and I think that's awesome because we had Phil Morris, so we had him on the show, and we know each other for a little bit, and he was talking about a similar thing like with you. That Michael J. White had an independent production that he wanted to put together, and I think it was I forget the name of it. I think it was Black something other. I forget. I don't have the name in front of me, but it was a movie they were working on. So they all got together, a bunch of actors. They go and they made the movie on an almost zero budget, and now Sony just picked it up.
Wow!
And now it's going to be a multi-million-dollar project. Just like you, but here goes the amazing thing, Steph. Again, you went from almost being actually you were homeless at one point.
Well, for a day.
Yeah, a day, a year.
We actually were fortunate not to spend the night on the street, but we were definitely thinking that it may happen.
Right. So, but you were at that point, and now this movie gets done. And it will get acquired by Sony. You don't have to say anything. I'm telling you, it'll get acquired by Sony. So now you made it to a point that most people would never think about making it to. And you're just starting to actually open up back in Hollywood.
Yeah, because it's funny how things have happened. Like for a while, my last project actually before I became pregnant was Miss Congeniality 2.
Okay.
And then I was pregnant, and all of a sudden after Miss Congeniality 2, I got all these offers. I was 3 months pregnant, and the phone was ringing off the hook, and I've been chasing people for years for different things, and now it all was paying off, and I couldn't do any of it because I was pregnant. And so this movie came along, and I thought, okay, well, I can produce it, and maybe I can be in it. So I was in it, and then when actually I didn't know this, but during the shoot when I was shooting my fight scene, that day I conceived my daughter. That was so ridiculous to me that happened.
Wow.
So I was pregnant throughout the filming, but I didn't even know it yet. And then, now that I have a new baby, quickfire kind of fell into my lap because I got a call from Sonny Seasong, and he was like, there's a movie here, and I'm doing some of the choreography. Great director. He needs a lead actress, and it's a Born Identity kind of thing,
right.
but a girl. So Jason Bourne, but a girl.
But so let me say so every time you were pregnant, good things happened.
Good things happen, I know, and
right.
in the co-attachment parenting style that my kids are always with me, and I was so ridiculous going into meetings with all these people and distributors and whatnot, and the kids were with me.
There's
nursing.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's just, I don't think that people expected it, but somehow it works. Somehow my kids just kind of know how to behave at meetings now, and I think it's a good experience for them because they get to see firsthand. It's like the best field trip ever because they get to see me work. But
they see you in action. They see mommy in action. They see mommy doing stuff and getting things in order.
Yes. Oh, my son was thoroughly impressed by me.
How old's your son now?
My mommy's a superhero.
How old's your son now?
He's 4.5, and my daughter is 18 months.
Oh, wow.
So they're 3 years apart almost to the day.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome though. You have your kids going with you, and they see this stuff, and that's stuff they'll never forget.
Yeah, I think that Zion has been thoroughly inspired to do some things. He was a little bit scared of Storm at one point because he was like, "That's the guy who fights with mommy," because we had a scene together.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Stormy's a scary guy when you see him. No.
But then they made up. He gave him a little toy, and ever since I just has good feelings about him now.
Did he give him a Mortal Kombat toy?
No, he actually gave him a candy fan, and my son was definitely much happier with the candy fan because we don't really do TV much, so. Right. So he wouldn't even appreciate the Mortal Kombat. I don't think he knows about.
No, I thought I was saying a joke because of Stormy.
Oh, of course. No, you would expect that of him, right?
I would expect that of him, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, but that's fantastic stuff because now you're in another project where Black Cobra gets picked up. You get your distribution. I mean, obviously it's going to be in movie theaters.
Well, it's up to Sony what they're going to do with it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they would have a limited theatrical distribution or maybe overseas. I'm not sure. But it's for sure a good thing, to be picked up by Sony is not a bad thing, for sure. Because, based on that, I was able not only to get one of the lead roles in Quickfire, but also now produce Quickfire because I met with Rico Lowry is the director and his producing partner, John Edwards, and they were great guys. We hit it off right away, but based on my credit with Black Cobra, I was able to become a part of the production team now. So I'm a producer on it too, and
nice. And
I think it's a really it's going to be a good movie, very entertaining. It will have great action. There's cars chasing, helicopters, fight scenes, guns.
I think I saw one. I think I saw
the audience expects out of action.
But I think I saw a clip. You sent me a clip of it, I believe, and it was pretty interesting. See, because this is, as you said earlier, this is the Bourne Identity, but the female version. So you have all that action and all that suspense and all the intrigue and all the the government doing this and all this stuff happening, and then the fight scenes, because of your talent, is top notch. Because a lot of people that see, all right, well, they see someone that's a martial artist and say, okay, they'll be a good movie star, but that's not the case. Real martial arts fighting is different than movie martial arts fighting.
Absolutely.
Big difference. Christine Bannon Rodriguez, when she came on the show, she went through the whole thing, and it's just different. You can't go and take the principles. The athleticism is one thing. You can't take the principles of martial arts and bring it to doing a movie because there's a different way of fighting.
Yes, exactly. I think, you see a real fight and even at best, there's a lot of just watching the fight before something really exciting happens, and then you get a knockdown and that's it, kind of thing. A lot of the times that's what happens, to where you can't just put this in the movie because it simply takes a long time and the audience may be, waiting for the punchline for too long.
Yeah, because you're telling a story. Even when you're fighting, you're telling a story.
Exactly. So with this film, I think that the goal would be to still keep the fighting very, very realistic, but just, of course, since it's a film, you have the opportunity to add more excitement and visual entertaining factors to it.
Yeah, use your creativity to make it even better, because at the end of the day, you want to make the film, it's a representation of you, because even though you're on the production side, you're getting your hands dirty because you're acting in it and you're doing other things, and you'll even work the lighting if you have to, just to make the project work.
Yeah, as long as I knew how to work the lighting. Unfortunately, I have no skills.
I would burn myself. I know that.
I know. I was just making a joke.
No, I would burn myself, no doubt. But those lights, no, those things get hot.
But yeah, we do. Being a producer, you wear so many hats. It's you're going over the script, suggesting rewrites, making sure that the script is tight, getting together talent, being there with the casting director, I've been anything from, helping the set designer with breakaway glass and whatnot, to being the craft service. You help out wherever there's lack or people get confused, you just help out whatever you can. But I wanted to mention, that the action is going to be just so important in this movie, and I think that the audience would have a chance to enjoy it even more and feel like they're really a part of it, because we're shooting it in 3D.
In 3D?
Yeah, which is a new thing that happens now, and I think it's gonna, it's just gonna put you right there between the characters, being in the midst of it all. And
yeah, wow, that's gonna be interesting.
I think that I think it would be really great, because you have the option to view it regularly, but also 3D, and I think this is becoming big overseas too. The 3D
technology is advancing, so you have to advance filmmaking to make it more entertaining for people. Now, what's your role in Quickfire? What role are you taking on?
Well, I am playing Ina, who is she works for European intelligence, and she has gotten her hands on some very vital information, and obviously it just crosses her conscience to a level that she decides to stay on the side of humanity rather than on the side of intelligence, as she was sworn to be. But she basically takes the file, they're encrypted into a tiny micro disc, and she carries the disc in her eye, like it's within a form of like a lens.
Oh, wow.
That she has in her eye, and that's how vital the information is. And basically, she's getting pursued by all these agents, and as a final resort, she goes to an ex-operative who has become a mom, and her daughter has been born blind due to a torture she endured when she was pregnant, and now she's basically living under a new identity, new life with her daughter. And basically, I crash into her house and say, "You must help me. You're the only one who can help decode this," because the information that I have is also encrypted it's called quantum encryption, and I can decode the most important part of it. And so, but that's her specialty. So I need her to help me. And, of course she doesn't want to play at first, but I convince her. And then we go on this journey, and her daughter gets kidnapped, by the other agents, and all this things unfold, but it's a happy ending in the end. So.
But it sounds interesting. Really sounds like it's going to be a great movie. This is you producing it and everything. So yeah, you gotta have a blockbuster. Yes, I think it's gonna. 3D. I want to see this.
Yeah, I think that's pretty innovative, but that's where the industry is going, and we want to be ahead of time.
Yeah. And you have Sony pick that up too, and then you have your big red carpet event, and hopefully you invite your friend, and then I'll go there.
Oh, of course, my goodness, you'll totally be there. I have more in my, I actually, I have 3 other films that I'm really passionate about, and they're also kind of actiony, but refer to a different theme. And one, there's a possibility that Jason Connery may direct. He already wants to direct it. We've had a meeting. He loves it.
Oh, good. And Jason Connery, that's Sean Connery's son, right?
That's right. That's right. He actually just directed the Cuba Gooding Jr. film, Devil's Tom, I think it was called, Devil's Tom, and he's doing really well, and he's really a great professional, such great insight. And he's agreed to do Major, and Major is The story, it's actually a multi-million-dollar project. It's a period piece. It talks about Major Taylor, who was a cyclist in the turn of the century when, he was black, and we all know what that entailed.
Yeah.
At that time, and while his family was being lynched, he actually never gave up and became an absolute champion cyclist, entered over 100 races, never lost one. And, being black, he couldn't even get into the races, but he had a white person who managed him and helped him, and he became a huge international star, but always chose to return here to the States and continue on this journey. And I was really inspired by his story, and I think it's not well known. And I actually wonder how people, how other people didn't get to this first and made it into a movie, because I think it's an Oscar winner for sure. And
look, and then you may go and realize your dream after all. Think about it.
I know. I was thinking about it. How ironic that.
Yeah.
But this is a project that I really believe in, and whether it wins an Oscar or not, I just want it out there because I think it's a true story. So it really happened. Someone actually stood by what they believed to be right and true. And his motto was, "I would never let a man put me down by making him hate him." So he tried to be a man who represented to the best of his abilities what integrity is about, what love is about. He believed in Jesus too, and he was like, I would not retaliate. I would retaliate. The only way that I would retaliate is through my spirit of love and determination to win every race and to prove that it doesn't, color doesn't really matter. We're people. And he became very wealthy and bought a house in a white neighborhood, which is at the time was outrageous.
Right.
But then, he died poor and all that, but he never gave up, and he never, went to a low point where he hurt somebody, or he hated people for what they believed. And
right. Well, it sounds like an inspirational.
I think it's important that the story is told.
Yeah, but it sounds like an inspirational story, no doubt about it. Wow. I mean, that sounds very inspirational. But stuff like that, touches people's hearts because they can relate or understand.
Yeah, and I think it's a lesson for all of us because, I think daily we do have people who are easier for us to love and some who are not as easy.
Yeah.
If someone like Major Taylor was able to deal with people who lynched his family and were trying to kill him and put him down every step of the way, and then he still would keep his integrity and his
look at yourself.
But it was amazing.
But look at yourself. No, but look at yourself. You look at what you went through. You could have easily been bitter about your situation. You could have easily, felt a certain way about the people that that were doing taking advantage of you guys when you were there. A lot of things you could have did. That you could have held a lot of heaviness in your heart, but you didn't. You just went forward, and that's it.
You know what? It's funny. I thank you for that credit, but I really think I didn't have time.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to stay and ponder on the bad things because I had to survive.
Right, but then you know what? That's a good way to look at stuff because you don't want to sit and worry about the bad things. Just keep moving forward. Keep moving. And now look where you're headed. You have these great productions coming out. You have this fantastic stuff going on. You have a fantastic family. Yeah, you are making it where you want to be. And they're going to write books about you. I know that.
Oh.
I'm telling you that right now that they will. I'm telling you. Because your life story right there is a movie within itself.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's true. Wait, watch what's going to... Mark my words, and I'm telling you now. And I'm telling you, in the next few years, I'm going to go to you. I'm going to knock on your door. I'm going to talk to your hubby. I'm going to say, listen to this, and I'm going to play the show. I'm going to say, I told you. Yeah, watch what's going to happen. So now with the movies, do you have are there websites associated with all the movies?
Yes, we have a website that's on for Quickfire, and it's www.quickfire3d, which is Quickfire the number 3 and then D at the end.com.
Okay.
And people can go and check it out. There's, we just actually started the production 3 weeks ago when we first talked. You and I talked, and we shot a teaser.
Yeah, I saw it. Actually, you guys, you did a lot of within a couple of weeks. You put together a nice teaser on it.
Yeah, it's we kind of are doing it backwards a little bit, because that was a way for us to secure funding. Usually, you make your movie and then you make a trailer out of it, but that's why we call this a teaser, because it was meant strictly for investors to know to kind of have a visual of what the idea was, and now we're securing some funds already in from some European investors, since we're going to shoot it in Europe actually. And
well, I tell you this much: any investors out there, any people that are looking to invest in films, and if they see what you have lined up, and if they were interested, or they were thinking about backing you on stuff, they should actually smarten up and align with you now, because I'm saying this on this show that I know, and this is me being unbiased. I know that I give this, your Black Cobra gets picked up, they're not going to be able to invest in your films later on. They're not going to be able to afford it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think we're headed there. I think that the Black Cobra investor, we had one major investor.
He's a happy guy.
Yeah, he is definitely a happy guy. He's going to be even happier very soon.
Yeah.
Because he owns a significant part of the points, so it's really, he's going to have a huge payoff.
Well, let me tell you something.
It's nice because ultimately that's what we want to do with investors, is that we want people to make their money and then some, and then they can reinvest, and we can all do bigger and better things. In fact, I have 2 more films that are in development that just recently came to me again as a result of Quickfire. This time everything just happened so quickly, and funny how I'm not chasing anybody, and these things kind of keep coming to me, which is a blessing.
Wait until you have another kid. You'll probably win an Oscar at that point. I don't know.
I know.
I know. You watch out. Yeah, you watch that happen.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know. We're not planning for another kid, but not against it either. If
it's a blessing.
If that happens, then that happens. But speaking of kids, that's what kind of my other films are about. I work with a few organizations, but primarily with one called Love 146, and they have a website, love146.org, and it's basically raising awareness on the problem of child trafficking.
Okay.
Which is a huge problem because, every minute 2 kids get trafficked, and they're sold to traffickers.
Is that a fact? Every 2 minutes?
That is a fact.
Oh my
That is a fact. Globally, every 2 minutes. And we're just talking about sex trafficking, and we're talking about babies from 4 months old to 18 years old, boys, girls, anything goes. And I learned to, it was, when I first learned about this and what was done to kids that age, I could not sleep for a long time, and then I was like, I have to do something about it. So I affiliated myself with this organization and have been helping, kind of put an end to it. And the thing is, I've been committed to providing solutions to child trafficking, and it doesn't take as much as people would think to end it.
I think it's disgusting what they do, and me, when it comes to kids, I'm just that stuff like that bothers me.
Yeah, and I remember. I mean, that's how we first met, right?
Yeah.
Karate Kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Online.
And so I mean that you're doing a great thing with that. You're doing a great thing with that.
And we actually were doing 2 films. I was recently offered 2 scripts, and And the president of Released Entertainment, David Lockhart, was we kind of are collaborating on this. One of the films could be made for a lower budget, and it's called Pure, and the other one is kind of a bigger budget film called Gods and Oceans. And basically, we want to do a documentary too, and just help people understand that it doesn't take that much to end sex trafficking of children. Some of them get sold for $16.
$16.
The organization that I worked with was able to buy some back for like between $24 and $300. And then the hard part is caring for these kids until they reach adulthood. But again, it takes $1 a day to give them food, water, education, medical care, clothing, and just empower the next generation to not repeat the mistakes of the previous one.
Yeah, I mean something
like
that
has poverty.
Something like that has to stop, because what they do to these kids, I don't even want to think about it because it's going to bother me. But I'm sure it's like, it can be anything from A to Z, and I think that's horrible, so, but yeah, anything that we can do to help on the UCW radio show, you just have, you have an open door here, Steph, that, but even the organizers, maybe we can get them on the show and talk about this, because I think this right here is a major issue.
Thank you for that. I think, maybe linking the website, love146.org, and just getting people aware of the problem, and maybe we can have a bigger presentation. But, for me, beyond movie making and everything else, this has become passion number one. Because being a mom, I'm thinking, okay, if one of my children were abducted today or sold or whatever, and I knew what I know and what these adults do to these kids that are 3, 4, 5 years old, what wouldn't I do to get to my kid?
Exactly.
What would I be doing today?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be making movies for sure. I wouldn't care about Oscars. I wouldn't care about anything. I would just be going nuts, knocking at the president's door or somebody, to stop it. And I think, these sleepless nights, just putting myself in that position, just feeling it in my heart and my mind, absolutely drove me nuts. And I was like, okay, I can't just be going nuts. I need to do something about it, and we can stop this. And the people are the ones that are going to stop it. The governments have too many other things to worry about. It's the power of the people that can really do something about it. And again, I think if 10% of the American population adopted one kid, and adopted means we have 3 kids that we pay $30 a month to actually get them education and all that, so they don't have to be sold, so they don't have to starve to death, so they don't have to become victims of traffickers. And I think really films that I do are just like a platform for me to actually do what really matters, which is saving those kids.
Right.
And I already have talked to my husband. He's totally on board with me about this, that, whatever we make, the resources that we have, the opportunities that we have, even this radio show that right now I'm very privileged to be a part of, this is our grand purpose, is to just help and do anything that's within our power to stop this horrific trafficking. And I have to just say that I appreciate you and all you do, and the credits that you have even given me, I appreciate so much.
But these are all things that it's not me just rubbing your head and saying, "Oh, great job." This is reality. This is stuff that you actually went through and you've done, and now amongst all that, you could sit there and say, "Okay, I'm making these movies, Sony's going to pick this up. I got this, I got funders, and you have all this stuff going on, and all this positive stuff going on, and you can just stay with that and keep tunnel vision on and not worry about the child trafficking, not worry about things like that. But for you, that became something close to your heart. So now all these things you're doing become vehicles to get you to help to stop that from happening.
Yes, exactly.
The higher you get, the more power you have that you can invoke change.
Yes. Yes, and that's exactly my purpose is if I get any platform that I can speak out, then this is what I want to talk about these kids and how we can help them. And you know, with like I think, you know, what I said previously, things tend to come easy to me and like kind of drop in my lap because I'm not desperate. But a big part of not being desperate is because I have a fabulous husband who is a man enough to support his family, and really he goes out of his way. He works very hard so that I actually chose to be a stay-at-home mom, you know, and I do my producing and everything while I'm a mom. But, you know, if it wasn't for him, I would be desperate to be working, and who knows if I would even had freed that space in my mind to invite the opportunities to come to me and to be able to extend into producing and all that. So I really am very grateful for my husband that I don't have to worry about, you know, necessarily bringing the dough every month, you know, even though I believe that
that's
with
good.
these films eventually that will happen too. But
but you know, something is good that he shows that support, and you can see how happy you guys are, and that's fantastic. Especially if he shares your vision for invoking change. And I think that, you know, again with the child trafficking, all that stuff, we're going to have another show on that, because that's going to take, you know, if we continue to go into that, the show's going to extend far beyond what we have time for. But what I want to do, if we can do this, because I find this interesting, if we can go and have you on again, Steph, and bring on one of the organizers for that organization, and let's talk about this. We're gonna have a show just about this.
I would appreciate it beyond
let's
what
do that.
you imagine.
No, definitely. Let's do that, because I think that that'll be interesting. We'll line that up when the show's over. We'll figure all that out, and that way we can get that stuff done. Now, since we're kind of running low on time, now you have Quickfire. That's quickfire3d.com. That's the website for that. Does Black Cobra have a website?
You know, we used to have one, but we've given now to Sony right now, and they're gonna do all the promotions for it, and so we're kind of staying out of it.
Okay, well, I don't blame you. You know, let them do the stuff.
I think they'll do a better job anyway, and it's in their hands, and we're just excited to see what they'll bring and how they'll make it. Cool. They'll make the marketing and everything when it's time. But now the most important thing is, I think, to just really wrap up the post-production period, which would probably happen in about a month.
Okay, and then we'll see this thing out there probably springtime, maybe.
Yeah, if people want to keep track, they can go to IMDb, and it's under the working title of When the Cobra Strikes, which was the original novel.
Oh, When the Cobra Strikes. Oof.
When the Cobra Strikes,
all right, good. And they can probably go to your IMDb page as well and pull that up.
Yes, they can go to Stephanie Cheeva on IMDb, and I'm sure it will be, you know, it would be current, and they would be able to follow up what happens with the movie. Right. And once there is an official website and promotion for it, it would definitely be linked to IMDb.
Yeah, and Sony will take care of all that stuff. You know, I think they can afford a website or two.
Oh, yes.
Or three. All right, yes. Steph. You know, it was great having you on the show. I mean, this is the story of your journey is amazing, and what you're doing now is even more amazing. But yeah, we are going to have you back on, and I promise you that, you and one of the organizers for the child trafficking site. Well, what's that site again? Is that Love146? Was it?
Love146.org.
.org. Well, Love146.org. Anyone that's listening to the show, support this cause and try to stop something horrible like this from happening. Because trust me, I know this, Steph. I know how you are. If you had a mansion with 40 acres, you probably have 300 kids living in your house.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have that mansion because, with the money for that mansion, you could buy a village there.
Yeah, well, you buy a village, you create a little village, and get everybody there, But no, so that's definitely something that has to stop. That trafficking of children. I think that's sickening to me. But yeah, so we will have you on, and we'll go over all that stuff. I look forward to seeing Black Cobra out there. I want updates on Quickfire. That's quickfire3d.com. But I want updates on that, and we're actually going to have the director of Quickfire on the show, aren't we?
Yes.
Yep, he's going to be on the show soon. So we'll get an update and we'll get deeper into the movie with him. I thought it was more important that we talk about your journey because, again, I always thought it was amazing. I'm glad that we were able to get that out to our listeners and the general public now because this is something that a lot of them don't know about.
Well, I appreciate being on your show. I am so impressed by all you do. I was impressed back in the day when we met and you had the Karate Kids online, but to see how you have expanded and just all the things that you're doing and all the people that you're able to reach out, I'm just in awe of what you have done. And
well, thank you.
And I couldn't be more grateful that I get the opportunity to be on the show with you. And
well, thank you, Steph.
Express all my truths, concerns, inspirations, and share with the rest of the world.
Well, I think your journey is what this show is about today, and that's the amazing part. I appreciate the kind words, but those words they mirror how I feel towards you and everything you've been through and where you are right now. So you just keep moving forward and getting things done, and success will just continue to keep rolling in front of you. Just don't. I just want to hear. Actually, it'd be a blessing if it happened. But I can see. Well, maybe in 5-6 years, I'll see you with 12 kids, and you'll have all types of things going on. Because every time you pop out a kid, something good happens, right?
I know.
All right,
I
Steph.
want to encourage moms out there. I think Hollywood gives you the message that, you can't say you're married and you can't have kids because then your career is over. I think my career just started.
Yeah,
when I became a mom.
Well, that's fantastic. And you're right. That's when another chapter in your life continued. So, but we're going to keep up with your story and what's going on with you and the projects you have going on because, again, you're going to have an open door. You come on the show. I want to hear about everything and what's going on with you. So we'll do that. But until then, we're going to wrap this up because we went over a little bit today. But, yeah, we have to get you back on to go over all that stuff. Love146.org, quickfire3d.com, websites our listeners should go check out. And again, Steph, I look forward to having you back on the show at some point in the near future.
I look forward to it too. Thank you, Lou. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Initiating shutdown sequence. What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.